On this week's episode of Ride the Lightning, the Tesla unofficial podcast, the Cybertruck has achieved a prestigious sales milestone. The online Tesla shop adds a couple of fun new Cybertruck accessories. Cybertruck owners are finally starting to get their Cyber wheel covers, and more. What's happening, friends? Ryan McCaffrey joining you, of course, as I do every single week for Ride the Lightning. It's your Tesla unofficial podcast. This one is episode 468, publishing on July 21st, 2024. To my left, looking happily out the window, Daisy the Boxer. Also here, just to Daisy's right and also to my left, is Rue, my sister-in-law's little dog, who gets along very well with Daisy, and her family is on a long trip right now, so Rue is staying with us. She'll be going home pretty soon, but then another dog will join us as well. Her name is Myna, M-Y-N-A. I will introduce you to her properly on next week's podcast. That is the name of our next service dog puppy that we're going to raise. So Zelina is graduating. It is happening Friday, which is why I'm recording on Thursday this week. It's actually not the only reason, but that's the big reason that I'm recording on Thursday night this week. So as always, if I miss anything on Friday, I'll cover it for you on next week's podcast, which, by the way, will be a busy one because it'll be the big Q2 earnings call. So I'll do my usual recap and analysis with plenty of highlight audio clips from Elon Musk and the Tesla executive team. But yes, we have a new service dog puppy. We've signed up to go through the process again to try and raise another service dog, as we have managed to successfully do with Zelina. I get to see her tomorrow as I record this. So as most of you hear it, it will have already happened. It's probably going to be the last time I ever see her. There's no guarantee. I mean, maybe the family will be local. Maybe they want to, get together from time to time, but I certainly can't count on that. Zelina is going to be their dog, and it's going to help that person and their family and help them lead a more independent life, which is going to be awesome. But I am already kind of getting emotional ahead of tomorrow because I was told by some other puppy raisers that have done this a lot that, it's, some puppy raisers like to put together like a little scrapbook, a photo book to give to the new person that the dog will be with. So I was pulling pictures for that this week and ordered a photo book and put it together. And boy, taking a walk down memory lane from when we first got Zelina, first brought her home, to when we said goodbye, I was crying already from that. So I'm sure it's going to be an emotional day tomorrow, but I'm really looking forward to meeting her new family and getting to know them a little bit. We get to have brunch together before there's a ceremony. In fact, I would have plugged the ceremony, except it'll have already happened. It is going to be live streamed. Hopefully that live stream will still exist in archive form after the fact, but if you go to the Canine Companion's website, you might be able to find it. And if you look in the Northwest region, that's the region that I exist in. Anyway, you want to hear about Tesla, and there is so much Tesla stuff to talk about, starting with the X takeover. This is the last time I'm going to mention this because it is coming up this weekend. Again, I'm hosting 2 panels on Saturday. That's the first day. That is also the same day that the Franz von Holzhausen keynote is. And the Ride the Lightning listener meetup is happening immediately after the day 1 festivities end, which is not long after Franz's keynote. So around 6 p.m., maybe 7 p.m., and that is being very generously hosted by Patreon backers and longtime Ride the Lightning listeners, Victoria Iacovetto and Tesla Hitchhiker 42. So quite a number of you actually, a very flattering number of you have reached out to let me know that you'd like to attend that listener meetup. This is last call. If you'd like to attend that, please email me, teslapodcast@gmail.com. And later this week, I will be sending out an email with information on exactly where and what you need to do, which is basically nothing except show up. So I'm looking forward to meeting a number of you for the first time, and for some of you, seeing you again. Let's get rolling with the Tesla news this week. There is plenty of it. I'll start with a quick follow-up from last week. Remember the 2011 Tesla Roadster Performance Package Development Mule that was up for auction on Cars and Bids? Well, you'll remember from last week's episode that I predicted $200,000 as the floor for the price of that car. And well, it looks like the seller probably agreed with me on that, but unfortunately, no buyers did. The high bid was $182,000. That bid did not meet the reserve price. So I will be curious to see what happens with this car now, if the owner will try to sell it privately, if they'll try auctioning it again sometime down the road. I'm not sure. I mean, if the person decides to keep the car, the current owner, I would greatly encourage them, if they're listening to this, to donate it, at least, or on loan, to the Peterson Auto Museum in LA, who has, of course, had a number of awesome Tesla exhibits, a lot of historical Tesla vehicles. It would be cool for everybody to get a chance to see that car at the Peterson Auto Museum. So we shall see what happens with that. I will keep you updated on any developments that I hear about the status of that car. Speaking of follow-ups from last week, I still had the Quicksilver paint color for the new Model 3 on my mind that I talked about on last week's show. And in fact, I've now seen Quicksilver a couple of times this week out on the road. Still haven't seen it up close, just out of the car and being able to really kind of take it in. But I've seen it on the road a couple more times this week. And I think I like it a lot more now because the first time I saw it, it was overcast. It was cloudy. The color looked like a darker gray than I thought it would based on the pictures, and I wasn't super loving it. But seeing it again in sunlight, because it was a sunnier week this week, or at least it was sunny when I saw the couple of Quicksilver Ys that I saw this week, and it definitely looked a lot more silvery rather than a dark gray, and I liked it a lot more. So, this week's Patreon poll question, which I remind you, you can vote on the Patreon poll question every week at patreon.com/Tesla Podcast. Now, that's the place you can go to voluntarily support my efforts with this podcast if you so choose, but the Patreon poll is open to everyone. You don't have to be backing me on Patreon. So feel free to stop by there every week, vote in the poll. It's been awesome to see more and more people voting in the polls each week. So this week's question, with Quicksilver still on my mind, was, what is your favorite Tesla silver paint color? And I noted that Midnight Silver Metallic, I'm counting it as silver because Tesla labeled it as silver, although I think a lot of you would probably agree that it's pretty gray, right? But in fact, Midnight Silver Metallic replaced the early Model S's original gray metallic. So Midnight Silver Metallic replaced a gray, and is still pretty gray, but I left it in for the sake of it being called silver. So the four choices were Midnight Silver Metallic, the brand new Lunar Silver that's available for S and X, the original Silver Metallic that went up through 2018. You could get a Model 3 in that color, and then Quicksilver. And this was a landslide victory for Quicksilver. 61% of the vote went to Quicksilver, and it was just not even close after that. It was a tie for second place. 14% of the vote each went to the original Silver Metallic and the brand new Lunar Silver, and Midnight Silver Metallic came in last place at 11%, which, if I had to guess why, it's probably because we've all seen so many Midnight Silver Metallic Teslas because it's been the free color for a while. So there's just a ton of them out there. It's been around for a while, and Midnight Silver Metallic finishing in last, but congratulations to Quicksilver, crushing it in this poll. All right, back to the appetizers on this week's Ride the Lightning. You might remember that in the recent past, maybe a couple of months ago, Elon Musk mentioned that Tesla was working on unlocking some extra range in the standard range Model Y that they were selling for a little while before Tesla pivoted and decided to start selling the long-range rear-wheel drive version of the Model Y instead, which, as I've said, I believe that's an incredible value of a car. So the relative handful of standard range Model Y that are out there, well, those cars indeed had some extra batteries locked away. They were software locked. That paid upgrade that Elon talked about a couple of months ago is now available to owners of those cars. Interestingly, there appear to be two different standard range battery packs because there have been two different range unlock options depending on which version of it you have. So Tesla tipster Sawyer Merritt had posted this. That's where I first saw it. He said, recent Model Y rear-wheel drive buyers in the US can now unlock 50 extra miles of range for $1,600. Now, in response to that post, a person with the X username The EV Guy posted what he has available to him in his standard range Model Y, complete with screenshot proof from his Tesla app, which is unlocking 30 extra miles for $1,000. So if you've got one of these Model Y, you can take a look in your Tesla app under upgrades. And I do think it's fairly clever that Tesla is calling this one Energy Boost. Like, there's acceleration boost, and here now on these Model Y, we have Energy Boost. Now, as you've heard me say 100 times before at this point, range is king. So I cannot recommend this upgrade enough. It's that simple. Of course, everybody's idea of value is different, but in my humble opinion, either of these is a pretty good value. 50 extra miles of range for $1,600, that's not crazy money. I mean, I acknowledge that $1,600 is not a small amount of money, but 50 miles is quite a bit of range. If I had one of these cars, I would probably go. In fact, I won't even say probably. I would go for it. Now, maybe I wouldn't be able to just swipe my credit card instantly and call it good. Maybe I'd have to just save for a month and just plan a little bit for it. But $1,600 for 50 miles of extra range, that's quite a bit of extra range. And then even in the other scenario, that to me is even more of an obvious yes, at least again, if it were my car. 30 miles for $1,000, still pretty good, though I will acknowledge certainly that 30 miles maybe for some folks out there wouldn't feel like enough to spend $1,000 on, but 30 miles is still, that's more than, or it's roughly 10%. I guess on the standard range, it's more than 10%. So it's a decent amount of extra juice there. Now, speaking of paint options, when I was talking about Quicksilver there a few minutes ago and the various silvers over the years, Tesla has rolled out two very nice new offers. These are separate offers, one for the Model 3 Performance, the new one, obviously, and the other for Model X buyers. I'd like to thank the Tesla insider that sent this my way. It was much appreciated because it happened to come in just about an hour or two before I recorded here early this week. I'm recording again on Thursday, so the timing worked out great for me on this one. Now, what is the deal? Well, it's this. Model 3 and Model X complimentary option with full self-driving. This is in the US only, and I'm going to read you Tesla's exact internal verbiage from the internal email that was sent out. It says, to enable additional Model 3 Performance and Model X all-wheel drive vehicles to qualify for the federal tax credit, we are offering complimentary paint options for Model 3 Performance and seating layout options for Model X all-wheel drive. For a limited time, customers can choose one of these options for free when full self-driving is added to their order. Visit the announcement for full eligibility details and frequently asked questions. So the bad news here, actually there is no bad news for the Model 3 Performance. The bad news on the X is that all variants of S and X went up $2,000 this week, which only put them back to where they were for quite a while. They were down even really low, like it was 78 for the base X and 90 for the Model S Plaid, or excuse me, 88. So everything is up $2,000 on S and X, but they're still under the long range X is still under that $80,000 tax credit MSRP cap, and of course the long range S is well under that 80K cap as well. So for the X, still the car now starts at $80,000 versus the $78 it was last week, but $80,000, $79,990 for a long range X. But you can choose any seating configuration. So that is a $6,500 discount. Of course, you do have to pay $8,000 for FSD in order to get that $6,500 off. But the software, the FSD, doesn't count against the tax credit MSRP limit. So if you buy a base Model X, it's got to be in stealth gray, it's got to be black interior, and it's got to have a round steering wheel and not the yoke. But you can get that stealth gray, black interior, round wheel Model X in 5-seat, 6-seat, or 7-seat, and it will still qualify for the $7,500 point of sale tax credit. Yes, you're adding on the $8,000 for FSD, but that is still, all things considered, a pretty darn good deal. Now, I realize everyone's needs, everyone's preferences are different, but as I've said many times before, I think the 6-seat Model X is the best configuration, and for me, it's not even close, because you get the wide open cabin with those two chairs on the pedestals in the second row. There's the nice space, the nice walkway to easily access the third row. To me, the 6-seat X interior really feels like a private plane interior, or private plane cabin. Not that I've ever been on a private plane, but from what I've seen on television or movies, it looks like a private plane interior in there. And the 7-seat option is a $3,500 option. So if you're just looking to squeeze every last drop of value out of this, you'd get the 6-seat. But maybe for your family, maybe for your situation, the 7-seat, which means you have the 2-seat bench in the back, and the second row is the 3-seat bench. Maybe that's going to make more sense for you. That's normally a $3,500 option, and it still is a $3,500 option if you don't get FSD. But if you don't get FSD, you got to pay the $3,500 for the 7-row or $6,500 for the 6-seater, and that will put you over the limit. You will not get the tax credit at that point. Now, on the Model 3 Performance, this one, I did stop and think about this for a long, hard moment, because the Model 3 Performance, what they've done is they've made any paint color free. Again, if you add FSD, if you choose to add full self-driving to the order, again, FSD doesn't count against the MSRP limit for the tax credit because it's software. So if you add $8,000 of FSD, you can get any paint color you want, whether it's the $2,500 Ultra Red or on down the line, because everything but Stealth Gray costs extra money on those paint choices. Now, the interior, you could already choose black interior or white interior at no additional cost either way. They'd already had that set up, which means you can get any configuration you want on the Model 3 Performance and still qualify for the tax credit, so long as you do choose and opt in and purchase FSD. So if you're willing to get FSD, you can get any paint color, any configuration of the car you want. You'll get the $7,500 point of sale tax credit, more or less making FSD a $500 thing. I mean, if you want to look at it that way, really, I mean, you're getting kind of more value than that because of the paint color, particularly if you choose Ultra Red. So I am over the moon with this, and I have to say, as I said, this tempted me for a hot minute. I was like, well, what if I just do this? Because I could get exactly what I want for a whole lot less money than a Cybertruck. It's a $30,000 difference between my preferred Model 3 performance configuration with the tax credit, and I guess it's not quite 30 because there's still tax credit on the Cybertruck as well. But I mean, call it 20 plus. It's a massive difference, but I've thought it through. I've decided I'm going Cybertruck. I've been saving up for that. I'm still saving up for that. But boy, did this give me pause for a second. Don't let my wife hear about this. Let me just say it that way. She's not here right now. She's out of town, so glad she's not in the other room, able to overhear me talking about this like she usually is. But that is awesome for Model 3 performance buyers. You can now just pick anything you want, get the tax credit, but the trade-off is you do have to opt in and purchase FSD, which I realize may be a non-starter for some of you. That some of you may just not want it, not think it's worth $8,000, not want to buy it outright. You'd rather do the month-to-month thing. This deal only applies if you purchase it outright for $8,000 on that FSD option. But I think this is great. These are awesome demand levers to pull for Tesla that I think will make meaningful impact for consumers. Because sometimes with this stuff, and I'm not necessarily saying Tesla does this particularly, but sometimes these things, it'll be a deal where it looks good, but really it's the consumers not getting that much. It's really the company that's benefiting. But in this case, I think both parties are getting something out of it. Tesla's definitely getting something. They're getting $8,000 for FSD, which is a more or less a 100% pure profit margin purchase for them when you do that. But you are getting way more configuration choices on a Model 3 Performance or on a Model X. So the original email from Tesla says it's a limited time offer. I imagine limited time means it's running through the end of the quarter, and they're just not willing to say that outright yet. But it is, as of me recording this, we're not even halfway, in fact, we're not even a third of the way. We're only a few weeks into the quarter here. So there's some time for you to mull this over, think about it, and see if you want to deal with take the deal on either of these. Next up this week, continuing with your Ride the Lightning appetizers, Elon Musk confirmed Bloomberg's report that I mentioned last week about the Cybercab's robotaxi unveiling being delayed from the originally planned date of August 2nd. Now, Elon did not confirm whether or not it'll now take place in October, which is what Bloomberg reported, and I'm inclined to believe their report, unless, of course, the Tesla team ends up needing even more time, which obviously it would get bumped again if that's the case. But in basically confirming it without saying, yes, Bloomberg got this right, Elon did give this little added detail, posting on X to say, quote, "I requested what I think is an important design change to the front, and the extra time allows us to show off a few other things." Showing off a few other things. That sounds pretty great to me. And I'll be curious now what the front looks like, although I guess we'll probably never get to see what the original front end design was going to look like in order to compare it. Although maybe someday a sketch comes out from Franz von Holzhausen from either in a museum or in a lot of times at Tesla vehicle unveiling events, they hand out to everybody that's there a little kind of poster sheet with the original Franz sketch for the vehicle on it. I'm lucky enough I have the Model X Model 3. In fact, I still need to frame them and get them on the wall. It's because framing, like proper framing, is expensive. So it's all sitting perfectly safe in a nice, like, big folder, oversized folder. But yeah, I've got the one for the X, the 3, and the Roadster, which Franz was nice enough to give me as a gift when I went down there last time to interview him, because I wasn't able to be at the Roadster unveiling, which of course was the Tesla Semi unveiling. Anyway, we'll see if we ever get to find out what the original front end of the Cybercab looked like. So for now, we can pencil in the Cybercab unveiling for October. And I had to go back and look this up because I thought, well, this must be the first time that Tesla will have ever had a car unveiling in spooky season, right? In October? And I had to go back and look, and Tesla has done them in February. The Model X prototype was unveiled in February of 2012. March has been the most popular month of the year for Tesla to do vehicle unveilings. They first showed off the Model S prototype in March of 2009. The Model 3 was March of 2016, and the Model Y was March of 2019. June was the unveiling of the Plaid. Now, maybe you don't want to count that since it wasn't a new vehicle, it was just a new version of the Model S. November was actually 3 vehicles as well, so it ties with March. November was the Tesla Semi and the new Roadster back in 2017. And the Cybertruck in 2019. My goodness, 2019 for the Cybertruck as well. Now, again, if you want to count a variant of the S, the dual motor, which I think Elon had famously, or just maybe not famously, but hilariously, in my opinion, tweeted, "I want to show you my D." That was the teaser for that event. And that was October of 2014. So they unveiled the dual motor Model S, including the P85D, which represented a massive performance jump over the P85. That car went from 0 to 60 in 4.2 seconds as a P85 to 0 to 60 in 3.1 seconds as the P85D. All right. Moving along here, I hope all of you who are very kindly and generously supporting the podcast at that popular $10 per month tier or higher over on my Patreon enjoyed this week's Lightning Round mini episode, which was about my favorite Tesla interior colors ever. I ranked them. Plus, I talked about the planned interior color that we never got, that maybe you don't know about. So if you'd like to listen to that, along with the other 103, so there's 104 total, 100 plus Lightning Round mini episodes are up on Patreon for those folks that are kind enough and generous enough to support what I'm doing here on Ride the Lightning at that $10 per month tier or higher on Patreon. You can go to my Patreon page, which once again is patreon.com/Tesla podcast. And 2 quick things there. There's a 10% discount if you are kind enough to do a once a year pledge, like support once for the whole year. I'll give you a 10% discount on that. And then there is a 7-day free trial that you can sign up for on that $10 per month tier if you'd like to check out what it's like to get early access to the podcast, which for this week, it'll be earlier access than usual, and check out a Lightning Round mini episode. You can sign up for that 7-day free trial as well. Again, the website is patreon.com/Tesla podcast. Moving along here to our main stories for this week, and it is Cybertruck-tastic, and they're all 3 really fun Cybertruck stories, and I'm saving the best for last, by the way. The first one is this. The Cybertruck has hit a new U.S. sales milestone, becoming the best-selling vehicle over $100,000 in the month of June. I saw this written up on Drive Tesla Canada, who writes, Per Kelley Blue Book data, Tesla sold more than 3,200 units of the Cybertruck with an average transaction price of $112,696. My goodness, I'm sorry. I gotta get professional here in a hurry. It is a little unclear how and where KBB got their numbers, but it is positive news for Tesla investors. The reason for the lack of clarity is Tesla itself has kept exact Cybertruck delivery numbers under wraps. The only public number we've seen was concerning the NHTSA safety recall of the Cybertruck, which included 11,688 units, of course, at the time. However, it was unclear how many of those units were delivered on the production line or still in Tesla's staging areas waiting to be delivered. Thank you to Drive Tesla Canada. First, I will say this, while it may be true that we don't know exactly where Kelley Blue Book is getting its data, I will say that for my money, they are a very reputable source, traditionally speaking, so I'm inclined to take their report at face value here. Now, getting back to said report, that achievement is pretty impressive, even though the number is still pretty small in the grand scheme of things, right? 3,200 units. I mean, honestly, if Elon or Franz von Holzhausen were sitting right here and I told them this and asked them to react to it, I don't think they'd actually be very impressed at all. I think they'd brush it aside and say that their goal is to get the truck into as many people's hands as possible. But for now, Foundation Series, the price starts at $100,000 and goes up to $120,000 if you want the Cyber Beast. I think this is nevertheless a notable little achievement here. The best-selling vehicle in the country that costs six figures in the month of June. And it's extremely production constrained at this point still. And in fact, given the intended production rates of the Cybertruck, not where they are now, but where they are intended to go, I think the Cyber Beast alone is going to be enough to hang on to this nice little title for quite a while. Because my guess, and it is just that, it's a best guess, I think that probably roughly 3 out of every 4 Cybertrucks is going to be a dual motor Cybertruck. And based on what I see on the roads of S and X, long range versus plaid, and 3 and Y, standard range, long range versus performance, I feel pretty confident in that prediction. I think I'm in the ballpark with that, at least. I wish we had the actual breakdown of that from Tesla, but sadly we don't. So if you're with me on that, or you're willing to give me the benefit of the doubt and say, yeah, Ryan, you're probably in the ballpark, if we forecast that out to when general production of the Cybertruck has not only begun, but ramped all the way up, which we anticipate to happen around the middle of next year, meaning 250,000 Cybertrucks a year. So we're saying then in this thought exercise that 25% of all Cybertrucks produced will be Cyber Beasts. Well, the quick math is that would still be 62,500 six-figure Cybertrucks per year, since the Cyber Beast in general production will still be a six-figure vehicle. It'll be $100,000. Or if we, again, just divide that by 12, we're at 5,208 Cyber Beasts per month, which is still well above that approximate 3,200 six-figure Cybertruck sold in June, here as we're still in the Foundation Series era, aka the early part of the production curve. So I think the Cyber Beast is going to hang on to this title for at least a while, for at least a good little while. Cybertruck fun story number 2 is this. A couple of fun new Cybertruck accessories hit the online Tesla shop this week, which you can see for yourself at shop.tesla.com. The first one is already out of stock, and that product is a pair of jump seats. They mount to the inside of the tailgate, and they fold up into a sort of Cybertruck-shaped backpack-looking thing when you're not using them. But if you've got the tailgate down, you got a nice little jump seat for yourself there, and for for other people that may be with you. So they're $100 each. They're being sold in singles, not in pairs. The product description reads as follows: relax anywhere. The Cybertruck jump seat is wrapped in a durable Cordura nylon fabric and features Cyber-style thermoformed backrest and alloy G-hooks. Fit up to 3 jump seats along the Cybertruck tailgate. Add the Cybertruck tailgate shield for easy securing. Great for tailgate parties, picnics, and sporting events, and is collapsible for easy storage and carrying. And then, of course, there's the obligatory note at the bottom of that page on the Tesla shop that says, warning, do not use while vehicle is in operation. There are no seat belts on these. They are in no way safe to use at all whatsoever if the vehicle's in motion, so please do heed that warning from Tesla. I have to say, I think these are really cool looking, and I think they'd be really fun for tailgating, as Tesla mentioned, or maybe for adventuring or for camping. And I'll say this, I think $100 a piece is fairly reasonable on these. I might actually get 3 of them for my Cybertruck's tailgate because I have a family of 3. It's my wife, my daughter, and myself. Based on how instantly that these sold out the day they went up, in fact, it wasn't even a day, it was a couple hours, it looks like these are going to be pretty popular. And then the second Cybertruck fun accessory that hit the online Tesla shop this week was actually mentioned in that jump seat product description, and it is the tailgate shield. It's $300, and here's the product description. Protect your tailgate while transporting your gear. The Cybertruck tailgate shield features a custom-designed pad that covers your tailgate when hauling equipment like road or mountain bikes over the top of the tailgate. It goes over the top of the tailgate. The pad includes mole webbing on the interior side for easy fastening of equipment, like the Cybertruck jump seat, plus a combo lock carabiner to lock everything into place. Now, this one didn't sell out on the first day it was available, probably for 2 reasons. One, because the Cybertruck skin is ultra tough and kind of, if I'm being honest here, doesn't need this. I mean, sure, your mountain bike could scratch the stainless on the tailgate if it catches it the right way, but there's certainly no paint back there to worry about. And then I will say, my second thing here, I have to caveat this by saying that I do confess I don't know what similar products go for other trucks, but just in a vacuum, $300 feels a little steep for this one, if you ask me. But still, a couple new, cool new Cybertruck accessories hitting the online Tesla shop this week. I love that the Tesla design team just continues to come up with cool new products for the Cybertruck that take advantage of its utility. And one more long overdue bit of good Cybertruck news. The Cyber wheel covers are finally being delivered to owners. A Cybertruck owner posted on Reddit that Tesla contacted them to get the covers installed, and then the owner posted pictures of the truck, including a close-up of the new Cyber wheel, the Cyber wheel cover. And it would appear that the Cyber covers did indeed get slightly redesigned, as was rumored in the community. But it's such a minor tweak that I think that unless you, A, listen to a Tesla podcast like this one, or B, have an early build Cybertruck that has the original Cyber covers next to a new one with the new covers, you're probably going to have a tough time spotting the difference. The difference is simply this. The new ones have slightly shorter spokes, if you will, that extend out over the tire sidewall, presumably so that they won't dig in to said sidewall. And I went back and checked. It has been over 5 months, closer to 6 months of Cybertruck deliveries that have all these trucks getting delivered without the Cyber wheel covers. So Tesla's got a pretty big backlog of these Cyber wheel covers to sort through. In fact, the napkin math here I would think it's around 15,000 trucks at this point. Knowing what we know from the number of trucks recalled by NHTSA, but also the weekly production rate and where we are now since the NHTSA recall, it's probably around 15,000 trucks, give or take, which means Tesla's got to get 60,000 Cyber wheel covers onto customer trucks, and that's to say nothing of delivering trucks with them installed so that they don't add any more to that backlog. But I'm just thrilled that this is finally happening, and it gives me optimism that once general production starts, sometime presumably in the next few months, that those trucks, the general production Cybertrucks, will have their Cyber covers installed on the truck on delivery day. All right, before I continue with this week's Tesla news, there's what? We've got one more fun story to go after this. But first, a quick mention again, the Tesla raffle that's happening. If you would like to win a Tesla, including a Cybertruck, you can choose to take the Cybertruck. That's one of the prizes here. Or if you just prefer $50,000 cash, $50,000 cash, my goodness, boy, I must be ready for bed. The 10th annual Tesla raffle from Chesed Chicago is back. I mentioned this last year. They ran a great auction last year, again, for a great cause. Last year, you only had 4 Teslas to choose from if you won, or the cash. This year, you've got 5 to choose from, or the cash. The proceeds from the raffle once again go to that great cause, which is Chesed Chicago, a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping families in crisis. They're funding 80-plus programs and services right now, and their goal is helping families get back on their feet by offering goods and services like food, furniture, job placement, navigating government funding, and much more. For your chance to win this Tesla raffle, head to ccraffle.com, where you can get $25 off of 2 tickets by using the promo code RTL. You've got to hurry, as there are only 9,999 tickets that are going to be sold, meaning you're going to have a decent shot to win. So get your tickets today, ccraffle.com. Again, $25 off of 2 tickets or $500 off of 15 tickets by using the promo code RTL. And I truly hope that one of you out there listening to this wins this raffle. And if you do, please reach out, because I'd love to interview you on the podcast and find out which car you're going to choose, or if you're going to take the cash. And that would be a fun thing. I don't know if I've ever talked to anybody that's won a huge prize like that. So anyway, ccraffle.com, promo code RTL. Meanwhile, my friends at Accelerate Auto continue to offer the XCare extended warranty option for your Tesla, including the $100 off discount code, which is Lightning. So if you're on their website, which is xcelerate.com, I'm saying it very deliberately because it's spelled funky. So that spelling is xceleratauto.com/XCARE. Discount code Lightning for $100 off your policy purchase. And that policy, a reminder, is totally customizable. Whether you just want to match the Tesla one, which is 2 years and 25,000 miles. But the difference there is not only does XCare do the $100 deductible and 24/7 roadside assistance that Tesla offers with their factory extended warranty, but they also offer something that Tesla does not on their plan, which is trip interruption coverage and rental reimbursement. Those are really important perks on a warranty. So I do recommend the XCare plan at accelerateauto.com/xcare. Check them out, and don't forget that discount code LIGHTNING for $100 off your purchase. Getting back to the Tesla news this week, there is another fun little story. This should warm everyone's hearts that's listening to this. Electric vehicle adoption in the US looks to be on pace to hit upcoming climate targets, as suggested by new data published this past week. I saw this story on Teslarati, who writes, US EV adoption appears to be on pace to reach 50% by 2030, according to data published by Recurrent Auto. The research suggests that multiple revised EV sales projections still show a path to the 50% target, despite recent sensationalist headlines regarding a major EV sales slowdown. Internal market forecasts from the firm also predict that the US could enter the 15% mass adoption phase of EV adoption by the end of next year, 2025. The report also cites data from other organizations, such as the International Energy Agency, the IEA, which suggest similar outcomes for the next few years in US adoption of battery electric vehicles. The IEA has said that it expects global EV figures to increase nearly tenfold by 2030 under current policies. So obviously, this is not a Tesla-specific story, but I thought all of you might enjoy this one because I sure did. It is, honestly, to me, heartwarming to hear that the transition to sustainable transport is on track. That, or at least it's progressing at the rate that we thought it would. Would we all like it to go faster? Sure. But you can't just take, what did Elon say? It's 200 million cars a year, and Tesla's looking to get to 20 million of them so that they're putting a dent in things. Yeah, I believe that's the number, 200 million cars sold per year around the world. So we can't change that overnight. But certainly Tesla's doing their part. Other automakers are starting to make some compelling EVs, and this really just warmed my heart. Though I do have to also acknowledge that I think the key term in that summary that I just read you is the piece from the end, the quote, undercurrent policies. Because as we all know, policies can and do change as government leadership changes in the US and or other countries around the world. So that is definitely a variable factor in this. We don't know if there is going to be a leadership change in this country anytime soon. That is to be determined. Now, as obviously Tesla deserves as a company a ton of credit here, and I think even somebody who doesn't like Tesla, because I'm sure you've met them in your life. There are people out there that for one reason or another just don't like Tesla, whether it's purely an ignorance thing in terms of, and I'm not saying like a malicious ignorance, but if they're just, they've been exposed to FUD and they think, oh, Tesla's terrible, or I don't like Tesla, but whatever the reason, I think even the staunchest Tesla hater would have to agree that Tesla deserves the lion's share of the credit for the EV transition being still on pace. I mean, I was talking to a friend of mine recently, like just a week or two ago, and I forget exactly what we were talking about, but we got onto this subject, and I said that it's probably fair to say that there's a reasonable chance that there aren't any pure battery electric vehicles on the road today if Tesla never existed. And I know that's a really extreme statement, right? Zero? Like really, Ryan? There'd be zero, but look, you've all seen what Tesla has done to the automotive industry as a whole. Massive disruption. I think you can make a fair argument that there are no full EVs. Like there'd be plenty of hybrids probably. Like we know Toyota's been on the hybrid train for a long time. They seem to not want to get off that train, which could be very, very, very bad for them in the not too distant future, but that's neither here nor there for this topic. But Tesla deserves the lion's share of the credit for this EV movement being even remotely on pace towards that 2030 goal. I mean, again, like pick out a few, like would the F-150 Lightning exist? Probably not. Would the Hyundai Ioniq 5 exist? Would Rivian as a company exist at all if there were no Tesla? I think you can make a pretty strong case for the answer to be no to all of those if Tesla never comes around. So to everybody who has ever worked at Tesla, from the top of the company all the way down, deserves a ton of credit for that. And by the way, the next phase is coming. The next phase is on the way soon. What do I mean by that? Well, you probably have already guessed. That would be the Model 2.5, as I've been lovingly calling it. If Tesla successfully produces a $25,000 car in high volume that is genuinely good and has at least 250 miles of daily usable range, which I would bet lunch that it will, courtesy of an LFP battery pack, then we are going to see the adoption rate of EVs take a noticeable increase. It's going to be awesome. In fact, I wonder if the recurrent auto data and the data from the International Energy Agency is even forecasting the Model 2.5 into its models, into its projection models. There's a very good chance that they are not doing that. And if that's the case, then because of the Model 2.5, because of Tesla, we could end up ahead of that 2030 pace, that 50% by 2030 pace. Again, awesome. All right. That is it for a very busy week of Tesla news. I've got a couple of your phone calls teed up and ready to go for you, though, so stay tuned for that right after this.
Hi, this is Franz von Holzhausen, and you're listening to Ride the Lightning with Ryan McCaffrey, the Tesla unofficial podcast.
Welcome to the Ride the Lightning hotline, your chance to call in and potentially be featured here on the podcast. So if you've got a Tesla question, comment, or discussion topic, you can call in, and doing so, there's one of two easy ways. Either use your smartphone's built-in voice recording software, record your question. Please try to keep it to 90 seconds or less so that I can get to as many people each week as possible. And then email that file to me at my podcast email address, which is simply teslapodcast@gmail.com. Alternatively, you can call in and leave a message on the Ride the Lightning hotline. It's a toll-free number, dial at any time, and that number is 1-888-989-8752. Again, that's 1-888-989-TSLA. And if you know someone special out there with an upcoming birthday, anniversary, graduation, or some other special occasion, you can give them a unique gift of recorded voices from friends and family telling them why they're special. The recordings can be podcasted or put onto a keepsake. Visit lifeonrecord.com to learn more. First up this week is Bob from Connecticut.
Yeah, hi, Ryan. This is Bob from Connecticut. Just wanted to give you a call, and I'm hoping you can help not only myself, but other listeners as well. I did see on a thread an issue that I've been running into with Tesla, and it has to do with your dash cam. The dash cam, after an update sometime in 2023, stopped working, and you really wouldn't know it unless you have it on your the dock at the bottom of the screen, and you happen to notice there's an X on it, showing that means there's a USB error. I won't go through all the back and forth I've had with Tesla, but I've tried numerous USB flash drives, including the one they give, and I did notice there is a thread on there where others are having the same issue, and I hate to see folks realize this after they've had an accident and then they go look for the dash cam footage and find. But what happens is the car, when it goes to sleep at night, when you have like do not have your dash cam working while at home or whatever, it actually shuts down the flash drive, and then it does not come back on. You have to actually reboot it. Hoping you could bring some attention to this, and hopefully someone at Tesla can fix it. But if there's a way to send you a link to the thread, I'm finding that a lot of other users are having this, and it's a big hassle. You might even as well, because mine's a 2020 Model Y. Thanks. Great podcast. Keep up the great work. Take care.
Hi, Bob. I am sorry to hear about this. I'm fortunate that I myself have not experienced this, but I wonder if that could be a difference in software branches, if maybe you're on the general production branch and I'm on the FSD branch. I don't know. But still, I don't have a solution for you. I wish I did. Thus, what I want to do here is just use the podcast, and I'm going to be happily playing this right now with the hopes that perhaps another listener might have a fix for you, or at the very least, maybe we can get Tesla's attention with it. Because I agree, that is, well, I don't know if I would quite go so far as to call it a safety issue, but it is a rather unfortunate bug that in the wrong situation could cause you a lot of headaches. So Bob, thank you so much for calling in, and I hope we can find a resolution for this very soon, whether it's from another listener or by getting this on Tesla's radar, or both. Next up here is Kaz.
Hey Ryan, this is Kaz from the EVs with Kaz YouTube channel. Now, I've been driving EVs for 10 years and I finally got my first Tesla. It's a 2018 long-range Model 3 and I absolutely love it. Now, I've been driving on autopilot a lot, recently went from LA to Vegas, and I've noticed that when I'm on autopilot, my right foot is kind of in a weird position. Now, my left foot has that nice spot called the dead pedal on the left side, and I can just rest it there. But my right foot is always kind of contorted. So I was just thinking, if there's like maybe a Tesla engineer listening right now, would it be possible to make some kind of cutout in the bottom center console so that we can rest our right foot when we're on autopilot or full self-driving? Thanks, Ryan. Keep up the great work.
Hi, Kaz. Thanks for calling in. I know exactly what you mean now that I'm almost 6 years into my car and using autopilot / enhanced autopilot / FSD as it's progressed that entire time. I tend to just rest my foot kind of on the right edge of my shoe, and ergonomically that doesn't bother me. So, it's not flat on the floor, it's not completely on the side, but just kind of resting on the right edge of my shoe there. And that's felt pretty good for me, but of course everybody's ergonomics is a little bit different, but that doesn't mean that I disagree with you. I mean, as Tesla makes more and more progress in autonomy, it would be nice if there were some more ergonomic thought given to where your right foot can go when autopilot / FSD is activated. I wonder if the Model 2.5 will account for this at all. I mean, I trust Franz and his design team are certainly thinking about it, at least. All right, Kaz, enjoy that Model 3. And I've got time for one more caller this week. It's Jose from Charlotte.
Hi, Ryan. This is Jose calling from Charlotte. I wanted to ask you a question. I went to the dealership here in Charlotte, and I was surprised they had about 15 Cybertrucks, but only some of them had the Cyber Beast logo on the back. They all said Foundation Series, but some had the Cyber Beast logo, some did not. So I'm confused as to, does that mean they're selling and have in stock the dual motor ones? I thought it was only the high end that was available. If you could shed some light on that, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for your call, Jose. I am happy to help clarify this one for you. So they're all spoken for customer cars, and the ones without the Beast logo in the bottom right corner of the tailgate are dual motor versions. Kind of like how the base Model 3 and the base Model S and X don't have a badge at all, but when you step up to the performance versions, those have a badge. All these Cybertrucks are Foundation Series, as you noted, and they're still all being sold with that Foundation Series premium of $20,000. So a Cyber Beast is $120,000 right now instead of the regular $100,000 price that it will be when the Foundation Series ends sometime in the next few months. And the dual motor that's $100,000 now in Foundation Series will be the regular $80,000 here in just a few months. Now, of course, Foundation Series includes full self-driving and other extras, but just in terms of the price that you have to pay, that's the difference. And then that Beast logo is how you know. So I hope that helps. Thanks so much for calling in. Thanks to everybody that kindly took the time to call in. If you've got a Tesla question, comment, or discussion topic, please feel free to call in. Send it my way via either of the two easy call-in methods that I gave to you at the top of this segment. All right, stay tuned. I'm not quite done with Ride the Lightning just yet. There's a little bit more, including your pro tip of the week, coming up right after this.
This is Steve Downs, the voice of Master Chief, Sierra 117. You're listening to Ride the Lightning, the Tesla unofficial podcast. You know, that Cybertruck looks a lot like a warthog, doesn't it? Master Chief, out.
As for what's happening with me, as I told you at the top of the show, I actually meant to hold that until now, but when I started recording, I just had to tell you about Zelina. It's such amazing news. Again, it's a little bittersweet knowing that I probably will never see her again after tomorrow, but this is what she was literally born to do. This is what my family and I participated in the training process for. We did our part to help, just get Zelina's foundation underneath her before the professionals at Canine Companions took over and really locked in the skills that she needed to be a proper service dog and help someone live a more independent life. But I'm really looking forward to this, even though I know I'm going to cry a lot. I'm really looking forward to meeting Zelina's new family, her new person, and just getting to see her again. It'll be the first time I've seen her since I dropped her off, since I turned her in, which was February 9th. So it's been over 5 months since I've seen that dog. I'm going to bring, so when you bring them back, you're not allowed to bring any toys or any sort of mementos. They've got to just go in and basically kind of focus on what they're doing and not be in puppy raiser mode. But now that she's going to a family, I have actually saved Zelina's favorite blanket. I've not washed it. Now it's not, don't worry, it's not gross. I'm just talking about it smells like her, right? So I'm going to bring the blanket that Zelina likes and offer it to her new family to see if they want to take it and let her snuggle up with it at her new house and maybe have one little piece of her life with us carrying with her to her new home. But I'll talk about it on next week's podcast, but at the end, so that for people that don't care, they can just press stop and not have to listen to it. But anyway, I'm really looking forward to that experience tomorrow of watching Zelina graduate, meeting her new person, and seeing that dog one last time. Pro tip of the week. Here's James from the Bay Area. Always love hearing from James. He's always got something interesting and useful to say. What do you got for us this week, James?
Hey Ryan, how's it going? James from the Bay Area here with a pro tip. Yeah, I believe a lot of us use that auto lock on walk away feature. We get out of the car, walk away, and it senses we're leaving the vicinity of the vehicle and it locks. But there may be a time or an instance where you want the car to lock right away. Well, it's simple. So you're in your car, you pull up to your destination, hit park, open the door to get out. Before you get out, you hit the lock icon on the screen right there. It will lock, and then you will get out, shut the door, and as soon as you shut the door, the car locks. You don't have to wait till you walk away. All right, Ryan.
Fantastic pro tip here, James. Thank you very much. There are definitely situations where that might be useful. All right, if anybody else out there has a good Tesla pro tip of the week, I would love to hear it so that I can add to my own Tesla knowledge base, but more importantly, share it with you and help you add to your Tesla knowledge base, help you get a little bit more out of your car that you drive, that you enjoy. So if you've got a pro tip of the week, send it my way. And the way to do that is just call in like you're calling in with a regular Ride the Lightning hotline call. And I gave you the two ways to do that a little earlier in the podcast just a few minutes ago. All right, before I get going, I want to mention some friends of Ride the Lightning that can hopefully help you out sooner or later. maybe it'll come in handy. Maybe for now it's like, okay, yeah, all right. But maybe one day you're going to be like, oh, actually, I need that thing. Oh, let me go to that thing Ryan mentioned and use that discount that he had. So we'll start with abstractocean.com. They've got so many great aftermarket Tesla accessories. From the 4th generation tempered glass custom fit screen protectors for your Tesla that use antimicrobial coating and aluminosilicate glass, which is the same stuff that Corning uses for Gorilla Glass. They've got those. They've got great interior lighting kits. They've got the drop-in cup holder stabilizers. They've just got all kinds of stuff there. All I ask is that you go take a look. Just see what's there. Go to abstractocean.com, click on whichever Tesla you have at the top of the page, and then it'll show you everything available for your car. If you like anything, throw it into your online shopping cart. And when you get to checkout, use the coupon code RTLPodcast to get 15% off of your first order. Again, that's RTL Podcast, all one word, no spaces. Then there's the Snap Plate and the newer Snap Plate Plus, available for S3, X, and Y. Get yours at everyamp.com/RTL and use the coupon code RTL. This is the front license plate bracket that snaps on and off in seconds, but when it's on there securely. It is paint safe, grill safe, radiator safe, autopilot safe. It's a nice, clean, minimalist design that blends really nicely with the front end of your Tesla when it's installed. And then if you want to take it off, whether, if you're detailing your car for a Cars and Coffee or a car show, if you're taking it off for whatever reason, it will leave no unsightly hardware behind, including automotive tape residue, which is what will happen if you put on the front license plate bracket that Tesla gives you with your car and then you try to take it off. It's not going to be a good situation. So that's why I recommend the Snap Plate, or if you prefer the stronger, the reinforced Snap Plate Plus. So Snap Plate is safety optimized with breakaway features to sacrifice itself in a worst case scenario, like a parking accident or a car wash. Meanwhile, the Snap Plate Plus is strength optimized with hardened features for maximum strength. Both have that signature minimal aesthetic that blends really nicely with the front of the cars. Both are made from recycled, made in the USA plastics with stainless steel reinforcements. Get yours at everyamp.com/RTL and use the coupon code RTL. If you're contemplating solar for your home or business or both, I kindly ask that you keep budget-safe solar on your short list of companies that you're considering, because you're certainly going to check with more than one, probably more than two. So budgetsafesolar.com, they now offer home battery storage, which, yes, includes the Tesla Powerwall as part of their solar installations if you want it. So I had a great experience. I certainly would recommend them to you as well. budgetsafesolar.com. They will work with you to find the best fit in terms of not only where to put panels on your roof, but what kind of panels to use. As I've told you the story probably 100 times at this point, I have a tall, narrow San Francisco house, 100-year-old San Francisco row house. So there's really not a lot of real estate on the roof. So in order to get 100% energy offset, I needed panels crammed everywhere they could go, and I needed the most efficient panels that were available. And Budget Safe Solar was able to do that for me, and I have been reaping the rewards of that ever since, just generating tons of power and producing a huge surplus during the summer, and then I use my credits from the summer in the wintertime when I'm not producing as much solar power. It's all working out great. I've been around the calendar. I've been around the sun once with my panels, more than once. Well, 1.25, more than that, like 1 1/3 times or so right now, and it's been great. So I've had a great experience. Check them out, budgetsafesolar.com. If you do end up proceeding with an installation, I kindly ask that you use the referral code RTL. Immaculate Reflections is an awesome professional detailer. If you are going to be in the greater San Francisco Bay Area with a car that you care about, whether it's your Tesla or something else fun that you might have in your garage, I cannot recommend a trip to Immaculate Reflections enough. Visit their website, irdetailing.com. From there, you can get in touch with Jeff, the owner of Immaculate Reflections. Let him know, hey, I'm a Ride the Lightning listener, and I heard that you offer a discount to Ride the Lightning listeners. And Jeff will say, yep, absolutely. What would you like to do? And he can walk you through everything that's available. But the most common things are paint protection film, which maybe you want to do it on the front of the car where the most debris and rock chips are going to hit. Maybe you want to do like rocker panels as well, some of the sort of the other key areas. Maybe you want to do the whole car, which is what I did, and I'm very grateful. It saved my paint several times, as I've told you the stories over the years. So paint protection film. Maybe you want to do ceramic coating, which of course is our new generation 21st century replacement for traditional car wax. It lasts 3 to 5 or more years. Then you're all set there. Maybe you want to do paint correction, where that professional detailer, where Jeff will really get into your paint finish with that wet sanding method, get all those imperfections out and have your paint finish looking, well, immaculate. So if any of that sounds appealing to you and you're going to be in or you're in or going to be in the greater San Francisco Bay Area, get in touch, irdetailing.com. The Patreon, I mentioned that a little while ago. I'll mention it again one more time here. The Patreon is how you can give back to the podcast if you really feel like you get something out of it. Information, maybe some entertainment, hopefully enjoy the format, hopefully just enjoy listening to it. I mean, that's the bottom line. Hopefully you enjoy listening to the podcast. If you've made it this far, odds are you probably do fit that category of somebody that enjoys the podcast. So if you've been getting a lot out of it, you've been enjoying it, my hope is that maybe at some point, and maybe it's today, maybe it's today, you are going to be ready and willing to join the Patreon. That's how you can voluntarily support me. That is how this podcast continues, is through your support and generosity. So go to patreon.com/Tesla Podcast, Patreon spelled Patreon. As I told you at the top, there's the 10% discount if you do the 1-year pledge on that, on any tier actually. And then there's the 7-day free trial specifically on that $10 per month tier. Or if you just want to jump in on the monthly support, it starts at just $5 a month. And as a thank you for supporting me at the $5 a month tier, I will give you early access to each week's episode, which means as soon as it's uploaded, you can download it, you can listen to it, whereas everybody else has to wait till Sunday morning for it to release, because of course it comes out every Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific. If you do that $10 per month tier, that's the most popular one, you will still get the early access every week, but you'll also get access to every week's lightning round bonus mini episode, which includes the back catalog of 104 of them now. So lots of content up there for you if you are kind enough to support me on Patreon at the appropriate tier. Finally, social media. I'm on X. I'm also on Instagram. I have the same username on both, and that username is DMC_Ryan. I'm mostly talking video game stuff on X, but Instagram, on the other hand, is pretty much all Tesla all the time, with the occasional dog picture in there as well. So if you'd like to follow me on either of those, feel free. You can also email me anytime if you've got some Tesla question or just some Tesla thing you want to talk to me about. My email address is teslapodcast@gmail.com. And before I go, I want to say hello and thank you to those most generous Patreon backers, the folks at the top tiers. I will start at the tippy top tier, the Roadster in Space tier backers. These extremely kind and generous folks, not only they get all the perks capped off by a one-on-one monthly hangout with me each month if they elect to choose it. And Howard Anthony Smith, we just talked last weekend. We hadn't chatted in a little bit. It was great to talk to him. He's such a good guy. He loves EVs. He loves his Model Y, and it's always fun to chat with Howard. So thank you to Howard for your support. Thank you also to the other Roadster in Space tier backers, Pete White, Lyle Austin, Steve Radspinner, Fernando Cordero, Lawton from Chicago, Sean Neidig, Neil Weaver, Jackson Wallace, Rolf and Jennifer Evers, Victoria Iacovetto, Tesla Hitchhiker 42. Those two are the very kind folks that are hosting the upcoming Ride the Lightning listener meetup at the X Takeover this coming weekend. So thank you to the two of you. Also thanks to the rest of the Roadster in Space tier backers, Carol Weston, Robert from near Philly, Kristen Rumble, American Home Contractors, GetAmber.com, and Doug Carey. Next up, the Maximum Plaid backers. We had a fun chat on our monthly Patreon Zoom hangout, which the Maximum Plaid and higher folks get invited to every month. And we always get a good group of folks, and the hour always flies by. So thanks to all of you that joined, and then thanks to all of you, period. You are Jonathan Wales, Cameron Clark, Daniel Grummer, Seth Capello, Nick and Tony, the Galpin family, Ryan from New York City, Darren Nickel, Kaz Barnes, Brett Libano, Patrick Wisniewski, Gil Cabrera, Todd Badger, Joe Edgel, Kevin Yank, the Tesla Owners Club of San Joaquin Valley, Michael Williams, Will Stedman, Justin Perez, Jeremy Harris, Chris Beach, Tom Mills, Corey O'Donnell, Aaron, John Cody, Joel Sapp, Paul Casarino, Richard Corley, Chris Osborne, KB, Adam Lavoie, ContactOneCallCenter.com, Jason Chalukas, Travis Krenzel, Bruce Otterstein, Tom Behan, Josh Pennington, John from Cream Ridge, New Jersey, Sean Tisdale, Dustin Hart, Michael Gallo, Derek Finley, Charles Clement, Rav, Adam Christie, Damon Klein, and Jeff Brown. Finally, I want to say hello and thank you to the Grandfathered in Plaid level supporters. They are George Cassiopo, Logan Willis, Peter Chalet, Eric Randolph, Dory and Steve Guberman, the Tesla Owners Club of Taiwan, Ron Lee, Charlie Gillespie, Dennis Peak, Jeff Angwin, Chase Cabanillas, the Lydia family, Aaron Altschul, Jared Brown, Jerome Strack, Jamie Dalton, Mike and Barbara from Louisville, Matt Nixon, the Tesla Owners Club of Wisconsin, Ish, not Elon Musk in quotes, Peter, and the Bear Boys of Colorado. Huge thanks to everybody kindly supporting me at all Patreon tiers. As I said, it's not just a thing to say. It's real, and that is your support is what enables me to keep doing this podcast every single week. So I really, really do thank everybody that's kind enough to, out of the goodness of their own heart and wallet, to pledge $5 a month or $10 a month, whatever you're doing. It really makes a difference, a positive difference in the life of me and my family. So thank you all very much. And thanks to all of you for listening. I cannot wait for the X Takeover next month. As I said, I'm hosting a couple panels. I want to hear what Franz has to say in his keynote. I'm crossing my fingers that maybe I'll get to say a quick hello to him, but I know that's not baked in. That's not part of the deal. But if I don't, that's cool. It'll just be great to hear him talk about all things Tesla and whatever he's got planned in his keynote address. But I'm looking forward to my two panels, one of which is with my friend Kim Java, if you're familiar with her YouTube channel. So looking forward to all of that. Looking forward to meeting a bunch of you / seeing a bunch of you at that takeover. I'll have, of course, I'll be talking about it on well, not next week's, the week after's podcast. Next week's show, again, is going to be the usual big one. We do 4 of these a year, the quarterly earnings call, recap, highlights, and analysis. Those are always a lot for me, but I'm always happy when the podcast is done, because I feel like, all right, I've made something hopefully useful here, where I've boiled this down to the highlights and hopefully offered some good insight into what went on as well. But in any case, happy electric motoring, my friends. Lots to look forward to on next week's show and just next weekend with the takeover. So until then, I'll see you soon.
Elon Musk, people don't like Elon Musk. The guy founded PayPal and Tesla, and people are like, yeah, but he's a troll and a bad dad. I'm like, so was mine. He did nothing to fight climate change. Also, have you been in a Tesla? Have you been in a Tesla? My buddy let me drive his Tesla. I laughed out loud at how fast it went. Been clinically depressed my entire life. On dozens of medications. In a Tesla for 13 seconds, cured forever.
I mean, I think a Tesla is the most fun thing you could possibly buy ever. That's what it's meant to be. Our goal is to make it's not exactly a car. It's actually a thing to maximize enjoyment. It's maximum fun.